So here it is, boys and girls, because apparently 30% of my demographic are women, but man or woman, or literally anything else. Thank you if you watch my content. You are appreciated. Here's the final part to ranking and reviewing every single Naruto movie, and this video will actually have the ranking bit. So this is probably what a lot of people have actually been waiting for. I won't drag out the intro too long. Small thing before we start though. So far in this series, I've been reviewing the movies in the order of their release. For this video though, I'm going to talk about the Boruto movie first, even though it's technically the last movie, just because the Boruto movie more so represents a new chapter into a new series, and the last movie more so represents the closing to a series. So since, I'm closing this ranking and review series, it just makes more sense to end on that movie. Plus, spoilers, I don't love the Boruto movie, so I wanted to end on a more positive note. With all that out the way, let's get into Boruto, Naruto, the movie. That's certainly a title. Alright. So this movie opens with a slick fight scene between Sasuke and Kinshiki, who's the henchman of the main villain of this movie, Momoshiki. We then transition to a new main protagonist of this movie and his pals, of course, the one and only Boruto, followed up with Sadara and Mitsuki. You probably do know about Boruto if you're watching this video, but just in case you don't, Boruto is the son of Naruto, Sadara is the daughter of Sasuke, and Mitsuki is the son of Orochimaru. We'll get back to that later. So I've been watching all these movies in dub. I want to make that clear. I like dubs. I prefer dub not only because I'm not a weirdo who pretends English is the most unbearable thing in the world to hear, despite you just weirdos literally speaking the language. I just don't understand how you can, whatever. But also because when I watch anime, I'm doing something else. Very rarely do I give any anime my undivided attention, especially if I'm binging it. But you kind of have to give an anime all your undivided attention if you're watching it subbed, obviously, to read the subtitles. So I'm saying all this to paint a picture of me not being some weird English dub hater. But that all being said, Boruto's English voice sounds weird to me in this movie. The best way I can explain what makes it weird is, if you know anything about voice actors, then you might know usually when there's boy characters who are relatively young, they get women to voice act them because it's easier to have a woman to make her voice a little bit deeper, sound a little bit more like a boy, than have a grown man try to make his voice higher pitched in an attempt to sound like a young kid. And Boruto at times just sounds a little too much like a girl for whatever reason. And it's not awful voice acting by any means, but I just felt like that was kind of worth pointing out because it bothered me in certain moments. So as the movie moves forward, we get a real feel for who Boruto is as a character. We also get introduced to these ninja tools that allow you to use any ninjutsu you want as long as you prepare it beforehand. Spending more time with Boruto, we see he has a bit of a strained relationship with his dad Naruto because Naruto seems to always be busy with Hokage duties. It's a nice classic tale of a kid who doesn't get enough attention from their parent. But Boruto figures what's a perfect way to get noticed by Naruto? Excel at the Chunin exams, and that's exactly what he does. But he does this by cheating and using the ninja tool I talked about earlier, which was banned from the exams directly from Naruto. So in the finals of the Chunin exams, Naruto notices that Boruto is using the ninja tool and finds out that he's cheating. We then get this real somber, sad note of disappointment between Naruto and Boruto, and as Boruto feels his world is crumbling internally, it quite literally does crumble externally as Momoshiki attacks the leaf. After fending off attacks and protecting the people of the village from Momoshiki, Momoshiki takes Naruto because he has a plan that entails him needing the chakra of the Nine Tails, and I'm just not going to explain the plan because, quite frankly, I don't really want to. He explains his plan in like a 4-sentence monologue, and it's not given very much detail in this movie anyway, so I'm gonna treat it with just as much care as they treated it and just say evil plan Kaguya something something blah blah blah. Again, Not gonna explain it, who cares, doesn't matter. Moving on, all the Kage along with Boruto and Sasuke go to save him. We then get a nice animated and choreographed fight between all of them and Momoshiki, and then Momoshiki does his little thing where he like combines with Kinshiki and he turns into this really ugly devil ninja thing. And then we get a nice moment between Boruto and Naruto where they have this nice father-son Rasengan, and movie over. So my thoughts on the Boruto movie, not those thoughts. As a standalone thing, as just its own movie that you're not comparing or thinking about the other things surrounding this movie, it's solid. If you saw this movie in 2015, I think is when it came out, then you probably satisfied with it. And I did. I saw it in 2015 and I was satisfied with it. But now, here in 2021, because of what has happened and now Boruto has a full-blown series, this movie just doesn't hold up all that well. So I've said over and over in this series that you don't really need to watch any of the Naruto movies. They're all completely optional, and that's true. But the Boruto movie finds a way to undermine being optional, and it becomes something much, much worse, in where I recommend you just don't watch this movie at all. There's literally no point. See, the storyline from the movie gets adapted into a storyline in the series where it becomes maybe a 10 to 15 episode arc, and they really add a lot of details and recontextualize this story, and it becomes a lot better and more fleshed out, and it becomes a whole lot more animated. I won't say just clear-cut better, as in the anime was completely trashing the movie in terms of animation, but it's definitely a step up. Also, Momoshiki's final character design in the anime is just so much better than whatever this was in this movie. This like Hellboy looking ass nigga, just no, this wasn't it, fam. And so, having seen this storyline play out in the anime and it get its own full-blown arc, going back to the movie naturally feels a lot more rushed, obviously, because technically it is, right? There's a lot more time taken in watching multiple 20 to 30 minute episodes versus just an hour and a half of content. And it really makes the whole character arc that Boruto goes through feel really jarring in the movie, because by the time you're really settled on the idea that Boruto is just really not happy with the dynamic he and Naruto hold, and by the time you understand his position and his perspective, and you understand Naruto's position as Hokage and he's busy and he has responsibilities, the movie kind of ends and they make up. So you don't get a real chance to just sit with the conflict that Boruto does, right? Because it's alluded to this is something that Boruto's been dealing with pretty much his whole life at this point, but we as the audience only really get to deal with it for like 45 minutes, and it just doesn't hit home the way it does in the series, where they could actually take their time and properly plant the seeds for this character arc. That being said, I don't want to come across as if I'm being super harsh on this movie, because honestly, it's not the movie's fault. And when the movie first came out in 2015, it was like a gem. Honestly, it truly was. It was the first time we were seeing Boruto and his new crew and generation of ninja animated for the first time. So it was our first introduction to them, and it was our first real introduction into Naruto and Sasuke and everyone else growing up and kind of fully being into adulthood and having those new perspectives as grown-ups. So it was cool in the moment. But again, just looking back, there's no reason to watch this movie here in 2021 and going forward on into the future. Just start the Boruto series if you care anything about this movie. And even if you don't want to continue going through the Boruto series, I still recommend just maybe watching the Momoshiki arc and then dropping it, because it's still a whole lot better done over there than here in this movie. I honestly thought about not covering this movie at all because of this very reason, but I decided, hey, why not? I might as well, one, and two, this video would probably fall short on the time length thing if I just completely skipped the movie and didn't talk about it, so I decided to anyway. Not too much weird shenanigans in this movie. Only thing I kind of want to highlight in that department is at the end of the movie, Mitsuki tells Boruto and Sadara his parent is Orochimaru, and Boruto makes this joke about whether that make Orochimaru his mom or dad, and it's like a double-sided clever joke because there's the obvious one of Mitsuki being a test tube baby that was created in a lab, so technically he doesn't really have a biological mom or dad, but it's also kind of a callback to early Naruto because there are a bunch of people who back then and even now who probably start Naruto and you don't really know off the rip if Orochimaru is a boy or a girl because Orochimaru, he got long hair, got white skin, what I'm saying? His dub voice is a little bit feminine / scary, but he also has that weird female costume during the early tuning exams, which kind of throws you off a little bit. And he also does that weird psychotic female laugh when he fights the third. So that was nice. That was funny. It was weird, but it was also kind of funny. And then they show Orochimaru for like 2 frames standing on a rooftop watching Big C, and I don't know why I did that. That was weird for a movie, but whatever. Moving on. Now on to our fittingly named final movie, The Last, Naruto the movie. This is considered to be the only canon Naruto film by fans. This is backed by 2 things. 1, the events of this movie carry over to the Boruto series, and 2, Kishimoto himself, the creator of Naruto, is credited with writing this story. So we ironically jump from the only movie I would probably say, yeah, you should 100% skip, to literally the only canon movie out of all these films. So it's funny how that works. This movie opens giving a quick major event recap of everything leading up until this point in the series, and that really makes this feel like a movie from the production quality alone. I know that's a weird thing to say since all of these are technically movies, but I'll explain more later. After the recap, we transition to a flashback with Naruto and Hinata as kids. There are some boys bullying and messing with Hinata, and Naruto steps in to help her, but that leads to him getting dropped by the boys in like one punch, and Hinata is very apologetic towards Naruto, but Naruto thinks nothing of it. After that, we transition to another flashback of Naruto and the rest of his peers in class, where Iruka Sensei gives them the assignment of picking one person to spend the entire day with if they found out the world was ending. Naruto doesn't have any friends or family at this point because, he's still going through the whole being bullied and shunned by the entire village despite literally being an 80-year-old kid and the son of one of the greatest heroes the shinobi world has ever seen. Yeah, that was a great plot moment. So Naruto doesn't write anyone's name down, but we see Hinata put down Naruto's name. Then the movie starts. I explained those 2 flashbacks to properly paint the picture of what this movie is for the most part. We still have the one-off villain hell-bent on power and destruction, although, as I'll get to, his reasoning is a little bit more interesting than previous Naruto movie villains, but this movie serves to give us a better perspective of how Naruto was viewed post-war but pre-Hokage, and to explore his relationship and feelings for Hinata better, since without this movie, if you're an anime only, Hinata kind of just confesses her love during the pain arc, and they don't talk about or address their feelings for the rest of the series too much. Then we skip forward like a decade and a half, and they're married with 2 kids. Which, of course, Naruto's a shonen, not really geared at romance, but in Boruto, it literally feels like Kishimoto sat back for a few hours and was like, let me just make some couples real quick and see which of those couples would have the coolest kids. Like, I honestly want to say a lot of the couples in Boruto are together, and I never saw half of them even interact with one another on screen. So, yeah, kind of weird. Anyway though, we finally get really going and we see everybody loves Naruto for his war efforts. As a reminder, in this movie, Naruto was kind of in this gray area of no longer needing to prove how gifted of a ninja he is, but he's not seen as old or wise enough to be Hokage yet, which, in case you're wondering, this movie does show some of Kakashi's time as Hokage. Speaking of which, that's the perfect segue to this movie's overarching plot. The moon is about to crash into the earth and destroy it thanks to this movie's villain. Yeah. So they're about to have to save the world from the moon. The villain's name is Toneri. To stop this and save Hinata's little sister Nabi, who Toneri has kidnapped so that he can steal her Byakugan, Kakashi calls forth a team of Sakura, Sai, Shikamaru, Hinata, and Naruto to go stop him and save the world. Again, yeah, this movie balances out a doomsday plot with a childhood romance plot. So, how do you not love Naruto, man? The rest of this movie pretty much plays out in a race against time style event. They track down Hanabi, and that leads them to actually being on the moon, but don't let that lead you to believe that they just like built a rocket ship or something, or actually flew through space. No, they go through these weird water things underground or something. I don't know. It's anime, man. You know what it kind of reminds me of? That ancient myth that if you live in America, I actually don't know how the myth works for anybody else. I just know it from America's perspective, so sorry. But there was an ancient myth that if you lived in America and you dug straight down far enough, you end up on the other side of like China, right? So like you just dig down, and then eventually you hit light and you be in China. That's what it kind of reminds me of. So if that sounds really stupid, that's because this is kind of stupid. On this journey, we finally get more revealed about Toneri's motivations for actually destroying Earth. So I'm going to explain this as quick and as easy as possible, but if you're not up to date on your Naruto lore, then it might come across a little confusing. So, the Sage of Six Paths, aka the original ninja god thing, whatever, yada yada yada, had a brother named Hogumaru, maybe that's how you pronounce his name? I don't know. They say it like twice in the movie, and I'm not gonna go find out how to say it again. So, his brother, right? And his brother was the guardian of the moon and was meant to not let the moon hit the earth or something like that. Oh my god. And he had obviously descendants, and his descendants came out to be Hyugas, right? So Toneri was like, ayo, my master Hogumaru, blue, however you say his name, was like, if Earth ever got out of control and you humans were going to war, he said that we needed to murk y'all because being at war isn't cool. And it turns out though that he did not say that at all, and this was a simple misunderstanding of what he meant. They don't really clarify what he means or how possibly Toneri could interpret it that way, but he does, so that's where we are. Look, man, if my explanations aren't as thorough, I've done this for 11 movies at this point. Alright, cut me some slack. Plus, as I'll get to, it's probably one of like the only movies you should actually just watch yourself, so I'm not gonna cherry pick and include every single super major detail. Just go watch it. Alright. There's also a part of his plan where he wants to marry Hinata for some reason. I don't really remember if they specified why. I mean, I know why they included it in the movie, because conveniently, as soon as Naruto comes and confesses his love to Hinata, Toneri takes her away, and they want you and Naruto to believe that Hinata just picked Toneri over Naruto, even though it's very obvious that literally this girl who has been in love with this guy since she was a child wouldn't just suddenly pick this like alien moon man. She does it in an effort to get closer to saving Hanabi, but she just doesn't tell that to Naruto for some reason, because we need Naruto to be depressed about having Hinata taken from him for like 10 minutes, I guess. I don't know. So skipping over hella important story beats because I just don't really want to get bogged down to the details of the movie. This is the longest Naruto movie, so if I really sat here and got in detail, this video would get excruciatingly long. So we're gonna fast forward to the final confrontation with Toneri and Naruto on the moon. So Naruto and Toneri literally have this Dragon Ball Z-esque fight on the moon, and when I say Dragon Ball Z, I really mean that. They got the aura, they're like flying around because They can fly now in space, I guess. How can they breathe on the moon? Don't know. It's anime. Don't ask too many questions. So then we get our big final fight between Naruto and Tsuneri, and no one else really does anything. Not that they probably could help in any realistic way if they wanted to. Tsuneri's pretty busted, and the only other person who could probably do something with Tsuneri is Sasuke, which he's in this movie for like 40 seconds. We get to see him blow up a rock because the moon's like falling apart. It's not just gonna hit Earth at once, and so these like giant meteorites are flying towards Earth, right? And Sasuke blows up one of them, and you know what I'm saying, taking away my Sasuke fanboy bias, it's the coolest scene in the movie, and you can't tell me otherwise. I wish we could have just got like a 2-minute compilation of Sasuke just teleporting around the village, blowing up rocks. I would have been satisfied. Disappointingly though, this is pretty much it, and he has like one line. It feels like Kishimoto is like, I should probably show what Sasuke's up to these days, and didn't even really do that, but fine, we'll just go with it. So 2 or 3 cool action set pieces later, they actually split the moon in half with their battle, and of course Naruto ends up getting the upper hand. They have this kind of funny scene where he gets Kurama to write this symbol for a successful mission on the moon so everybody on Earth can know that they succeeded. They didn't take Tsuneri to wherever they figured out Hoguramu's true message, and they basically say, hey, yeah, you interpreted that wrong, buddy. And he's like, oh, my bad, won't happen again. And you know what I'm saying, Naruto, Hinata, they get married. They flash forward a little bit to the future, and you get to see Boruto and his little sister, and the movie ends. And it's very nice, and it kind of made me sad because I'm now at the point of where Naruto is in this movie, of being a young adult, and I watched Naruto. I literally grew up with Naruto, man. But I'll get into all that sappy stuff at the end, because now it is time for the ranking of these movies. So we're gonna go from worst to best, 11 to 1. I'm gonna try to make this quick, and I have too much to say about them individually because, I mean, I just did 4 videos talking about them, so you should know how I feel about them by now. At 11, we have Stone of Gael, and this is literally the only Naruto movie I did not enjoy watching, so that should tell you why it's last. At 10, we have Boruto the movie, because it quite frankly is the only movie I recommend not watching, not because of the quality, but just, you know, I already explained. At number 9, we have Will of Fire. Kind of forgettable, to be honest with you. When I was looking back at my videos and looking back at the list of Naruto movies, I was like, oh yeah, I did watch and talk about that. And number 8, we have Bonds. This is probably purely out of my own hate that Sasuke doesn't show up in these movies enough, and I thought this was going to be the one movie that, you know, it's going to be like a nice little dynamic between Naruto and Sasuke, but Sasuke is pretty much just used as a marketing tool, and he's not even in the movie like that, so that was a little disappointing. At 7, we have Ninja Clash in the Land of the Snow. Not a terrible movie, but if you remember it literally being in the first movie I talked about, and me talking about the whole princess character and her really dumb decision that kind of just ruined the whole movie for me, yeah, that's what landed at here, 7. At 6, we have Lost Tower, which, to be honest, isn't a terrible movie, but it's pretty much just not as good Road to Ninja, which I'll explain more when I get to Road to Ninja, which is a lot higher up on this list. But not in terms of the plot, but what they go for and the appeal of the movie. Yeah, it's pretty much just not as good Road to Ninja. At 5, you have Naruto Shippuden the movie, the first Naruto Shippuden movie, and the priestess character, and again, her whole thing with, you know what I'm saying, her self-worth issues. I really appreciate that. I feel like if she popped up in just the normal Naruto series, and we got a few episodes to really like dig into her psyche as a character and flush her out, she'd be like a really cool main type of character instead of just this one-off support character. But yeah, she carries. At 4, we have Blood Prison. It should be said on my last video, there was some person who got really mad that I enjoyed Blood Prison, and I won't out them or anything in this video. If you want to go see, just go to that video and read those comments. And I had maybe a small back and forth with them, and I was like, why are you taking Naruto movies so serious? And the way they responded, either A, they were a little kid, or B, they were trolling me, or C, they were a little kid who was trolling me. So I just stopped. But yeah, here we have Blood Prison. I really enjoyed Blood Prison. I'd say it's probably the movie I enjoyed most, strictly just from the moment to moment plot beats. At 3, we have Road to Ninja. So Road to Ninja is a little bit of a tearjerker, and what I meant by Lost Tower just being not as good Road to Ninja, the appeal of Road to Ninja is if you know who Naruto is as a character and you know about, you know what I'm saying, his feelings towards him not growing up with his parents and all that jazz, you get a lot of fan service here in this movie with this nice what if twist spin kind of thing. And it's something that if you just see it as a one-off and you don't really know who Naruto is as a character and this is your really only exposure to him, you'll probably not care about this movie at all. But if you really sat here through all these moments with Naruto, you'll probably have a deep appreciation for this movie, I'm not gonna lie. At 2, we have Guardians of the Crescent Moon. Very fun movie. I enjoyed this movie from beginning to end. It has my favorite fight scene out of all of the Naruto films, which we'll get to later in a second. And honestly, it just hit me in the gut with some nice OG Naruto nostalgia, and I really appreciated it. So there's that. And at number 1, we have The Last. I know this may come across to some people as a bit of recency bias, but it's really not. The combination of it being canon and it been written by Kishimoto himself, the story at least, I don't know if he like actually wrote the movie from beginning to end, but I think the movie may be an adaptation of a light novel, I'm not sure, it doesn't matter. So all of that in combination with The Last truly having a movie feel, it's something I touched on earlier when I was originally talking about The Last, but a lot of the Naruto movies, quote unquote, don't really feel like movies. They more so feel like Naruto specials, like hour-long Naruto specials. They don't really have any higher production quality. They don't have any standout licensed music. They're kind of just in this weird gray area of maybe it's a special, maybe it's like a condensed filler arc, you know what I'm saying? But The Last really does feel like a movie, really does feel like something that I could have went into a theater, sat down and been like, yeah, this was a movie and it was fun. And something super interesting to note about all the Naruto movies is they were pretty much made yearly for over a decade. So here's a timeline for the Naruto movies and their respective dates. As you can see, the movies pretty much came out consistently like every single year, and I don't think that there was one animation team credited for all these movies or one set of writers, so hopefully it wasn't just a sweatshop consistently for Naruto movies, because that would be very unfortunate to think about, people just grinding yearly for 10 years for all these movies that the average Naruto fan doesn't even know the name of or care that they exist. That'd be real tough. But that being said, the quality of The Last stands out so much so that I feel like it definitely should be at the top off that alone, but it's canon. So in my personal opinion, if you were only gonna watch one Naruto movie, The Last is probably the route you should go. With the Boruto movie being probably the only Naruto movie, I say undoubtedly just avoid that movie, don't watch it, just start the Boruto series. And that's that. We're done with the rankings, and I feel a bit of emptiness, I'm not gonna lie to you. When I first started the series, I expected it to just be me making fun of mediocre Naruto movies, which for the most part, I mean, yeah, that's what this series was. But ignoring that bit, watching all 11 of these movies actually did something that I didn't expect, in that it gave me that dopamine hit of rewatching Naruto without actually rewatching it, because since all the movies for the most part pay attention to the continuity of the series and they pay attention to what was happening in the series during the time of its release, you get these cool snapshots of what was happening in Naruto with watching the movie, whether that be Sasuke being gone or dealing with the Akatsuki, and it's a nice way to consume a bunch of Naruto content without consuming a bunch of Naruto content, if that makes any sense. If you truly are in love with Naruto, and I mean you truly love the series, then and you get bored one Saturday night, then yeah, sure, you can just binge and watch all these movies, maybe with like a friend or like a significant other or something, and it could be a fun time. Would I recommend doing it if you just maybe casually like Naruto? No. I mean, you gotta really, really love Naruto. But if you do really, really love Naruto, like it's one of your favorite pieces of fiction, then do this. Try this. Because, like I said earlier, it's a nice way to get that nostalgic feeling for early Naruto and early Naruto Shippuden without having to actually watch the series. And if you haven't seen these movies, despite the fact that, I mean, they're kind of predictable, you don't know what to expect. There's a bunch of cool and weird and quirky things that you'll see, and a bunch of interesting jokes as I've gone through in this series that you can experience for the first time if you haven't seen these Naruto movies. It's fun at bare minimum, and it made me sad seeing the little knuckle-headed #1 ninja grow up and be the Hokage. I don't know why. I really didn't expect to feel anything seeing these movies, especially at road bumps like Road to Ninja, but that happened. Just for fun, I figured I'd throw out a few rewards and then we'll really finally end this series. I only have like 2 or 3, so it's not a big deal. 1, best fight. I'm gonna give that to the Lee fight in the Guardians of the Crescent Moon Kingdom when he fought like the big buff henchman. That was fun, even though it was a little silly seeing Rock Lee use nunchucks. It was still fun. I'm gonna give the best villain, excluding Toneri, because I feel like it's not kind of fair to use him at all because he actually ties into Naruto continuity. I'm going to give it to none other than evil Naruto, of course. I mean, you can't go wrong with some evil Naruto, bro. Look at him. Look at him, bro. Look at his Sharingan. Look at his emo dark hair. Come on now, fam. You can't go wrong with evil Naruto as the best villain out of the Naruto movies. And for best side character out of these movies, I know that's kind of like a weird thing, but if you watch the movies and you paid attention, it's like a normal trope for them to introduce like 1 or 2 characters for the movie to kind of just spice the cast up a little bit. So a side character pretty much shows up in every single movie besides the last 3, maybe. Whatever though. The priestess from the first Naruto Shippuden movie, she's a really good character. I keep coming back to her. She's a really good character. I really liked her character arc. It was really fun. It was really nice. And that's all the awards. I think I've been calling them rewards, and award is the proper, I don't know, it doesn't matter. It's like 3 a.m. and I need to finish this, so we're leaving. Watching all these movies made me sad, nostalgic, but it was fun. It was fun, man. And with that, I am bringing the ranking and reviewing every Naruto movie officially to a close. That's the end of the video and the end of that series. I will be taking a major break from Naruto content for a while because that was a lot. I was supposed to be done with this series at the end of September. That didn't happen though. So if you were like keeping up with my channel and you were like anticipating them dropping and there's like a week in between videos coming out, that wasn't me. That was stupid copyright. I have videos done, and then my videos, like after a day or 2 of being privately uploaded, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna upload it now. It would get manually claimed by an Italian company on top of that, right? Not Japanese, not Japanese toy, an Italian copywriting company manually claiming my videos by saying that I was using the Italian versions of the Naruto movies, which I wasn't. In case you're wondering, there's the English dub versions. And considering the fact that for the most part there is no audio, and when there is audio in any of the videos from the Naruto movies, you clearly hear them speaking English, but whatever, I digress. So I had to fight with this stupid Italian copyright company on a few of the videos, so that's why there'll be like a week or 2 gap in between certain videos in the series, and I literally wanted to have it done in September, but it doesn't matter, this is done now. It put me behind in my schedule because I low-key wanted to spam upload like spooky anime because it's October at the time of this recording, and I'm still gonna get maybe 1 or 2 videos out. But man, I had like a perfect blue deep dive that I was gonna do that I just probably not going to be able to do now. Disappointing, but whatever, it's fine. I appreciate you if you watch each and every one of these videos. Oh yeah, also it's probably time that I start like actually pushing this, because it's not gaining a bunch of traction, but people are actually listening. I upload the audio versions of my videos to all those podcasting platforms, so like your Google Podcasts and like your Spotify. There's a plane going by, I'm not going to stop recording. Your Google Podcasts and your Spotify and your Apple Podcasts and all that fun stuff. So if you ever like want to just hear my voice with no video because you think my editing is shit or something, you can go check one of the links down below to whatever respective audio listening platform you use, and you can just hear the audio version of my videos. I don't get paid from those. I mean, I barely get paid from these videos, but if for whatever reason you want to do that, hey, it's there. It exists for you. I have really nothing else to say. I'm actually so sad about finishing this series, and I don't know why. It was a mid-series, low-key, and the viewer retention is just slowly going down as I continue to spam these videos. But I don't know, I have that feeling when you finally finish a super long anime and you just have a hole in your heart. That's how I feel now, but whatever. I make videos of this quality or better all the time, so if you enjoyed this video, subscribe so you don't miss any of the new videos that are going to come for the foreseeable future. I'm leaving.